Where are you, Cyrus? And
I'm in Las Vegas.
oh, okay.
Literally, I
I
live across the street from three large casinos and walking distance from the Strip.
yeah. How is Las Vegas? I lived there in 2014.
That's a very excellent question. It really revealed America in a very extreme way. So you get the low taxes, you get the good buying power when it comes to rent, food, and other things, necessities. You have a lot of resources, a lot of entertainment. But on the other hand, it really reveals the ugly elements of American culture. And that is, lack of sense of community and neighborly interaction. You have a lack of culture. You have essentially some of this corporate, non-governmental infiltration into our politics. You have essentially you don't ha you have a lack of strong families, which affects the schools and everything. It has a lot of different issues that's very seen in the United States, and of course, it's a very multicultural society. Although every neighborhood is not diverse, which kind of proves that multiculturalism isn't something that works in every aspect. I guess we can all agree with that. So it's really has shown the pros and cons of America really in steroids. And the worst part I think about living in Las Vegas is it's a very car dependent lifestyle. Now, where I live, I can walk to a lot of things, but the problem is that, we're told that in America we are very dependent on cars is because, all the people in this country have large yards and backyards and they want space. But the reality is that's further from the truth in Las Vegas. Lot sizes for single family homes is one of the smallest in the country. And despite that, they're very car dependent, simply because we have policies that enact that. So we're not really free to build what we truly want. But also, we have commercial interests. This is a society that prefers to get food in drive-through restaurants or in big box stores rather than obviously in mom and pop businesses, which is more seen in other parts of the world. But that used to be the case in this country before World War II.
Mhm. Yeah, the weather is great in Las Vegas, isn't it? Or is it too hot for
Overall,
you?
it's pretty great. I think today was a pretty decent day. May is pretty good. It's decent, although it's not as good as April, although most of the world, April is typically the best month. I think we can agree with that. So yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, there are some, I would say the real problem with the climate in Vegas is just you lack perfect days. So too many days you need air conditioning, and too many days you need to wear the coat. Even like last Sunday, we had heavy winds and it felt like it was 45 at night. So that's one of the issues. But overall, when you look at this in a national and a, kind of like this, on a global scale, it's above average. Yes.
Okay, I remember living there. It's huge on business networking there. They have international expos in the
A lot of
city.
resources. Yeah.
You know,
A lot to do.
when yeah, no, but you can also do a lot of everyone thinks that Las Vegas is an entertainment city, but then you have the business conventions that come in and they're like happening almost weekly.
Yeah.
And
It's a fairly good place to do business, I will say. And that's what kind of really shows the reality of America. It's the fact that in America, it's a great place to make money as a business owner, startup, or an investor. Uh, but in terms of certain aspects of quality of life, it's pretty lacking.
yeah, so how would you rate the social life there in Las Vegas on a scale of 1 to 10?
It really depends. One thing that really resonated with me and Winston was that what we found the social climate to be very attractive was people over 40 are more likely to talk to you, have a conversation, be your friend, but the people under 40, not as much. So overall, I would give it like a 4 out of 10 or maybe a 3.5. And so Winston has a point. Neighbors rarely get out and get together. You rarely see children play outside, despite the fact you do have some periods of comfortable weather. Uh, but again, they use the few harsh days as excuses not to go outside. It's just how they are. Or they blame electronics for why they're isolated, but they don't want to look at other factors. When it comes to people under 40, it's harder to make friends. One of the reasons is because young people are just increasingly staying at home. They're not going out to do errands. They're not going out on social gathering events. I mean, there was a crypto event full of young people I spoke to, fairly nice people, but it's not like you can easily just live your life and just go out and start meeting people. And certainly that was a different vibe that I've experienced when I went to the Philippines. So a lot of these claims that people make about America, online shopping is killing the mall, and then you go there in the Philippines, it's not really like that. Electronics is killing the social vibe. You go there, it's not like that. The same with dating, as a matter of fact. Coworkers aren't getting along because of electronics or whatever. You go there, coworkers get along a lot better in the Philippines. So when you really go to the Philippines, you really see that it really has the benefits of old America, but at the same time, it has many of the modern technologies. So this idea that we're scapegoating modern technologies for our problems, it's so misleading and it's mostly untrue.
So your home country is Iran, is that right?
I've never been there. No, my parents immigrated from Iran. I just spoke with
Iran.
my mom. She came in from 1990. I was born 2 years later, and my dad came in 1975.
Okay, but do
So they're
let
they're
do
they're about 13, 14 years apart in age, by the way.
okay, so I was just gonna ask you about the culture in
Yeah, my
Iran.
grandmother says, like one of the problems in America, yeah, just like what we just talked about. Exactly.
I know, but isn't I because I've heard that the culture in Iran is, family focused. It's
Yes.
more,
Yeah.
like okay.
Yeah, dating is more influenced by family uh, introductions. That's one thing for sure. Actually, my cousin who just came from Iran about 15 years ago, he has built a pretty successful life in America. He now works for Caltrans, which is basically engineering work for California Department of Transportation. He makes good living. One of his friends introduced him to a Lebanese wealthy family in Newport Coast, and they just got married last month. It's
Okay.
possible, I'm telling you. And it was a more family-based system.
Do you know Patrick Bet
Unfortunately, that's
David?
not very common in America like it used to be. Go ahead.
Sure. Do you know Patrick Bet David? He's
Oh, yeah, I haven't met him,
Iran.
but I'm certainly familiar with him. It's hard to trust these people, though.
Well, I mean, from what I can tell, you know, Iranians are, very close together, very,
Agreed.
family oriented. Like I feel like, when they meet you, they're gonna keep their word, if they think that you're a good person.
They
I
give you
just,
tea. Yeah. hmm
but
And what's funny was, because one of the things is that, I tell you, Iranian men are more liked than overseas in Philippines. I mean, I used to think like, oh, they would only like the light colored men because they want their green cards, but no, I don't look like the average European, and I can tell you, man, it's just women in overseas countries, they don't have the kinds of views they have in America.
um,
And the sad part is a lot of Iranian women, when they come to the United States, they change for the worse.
they all change. It's the culture that changes them. So
I
in
sort of
other
disagree.
countries,
I sort of
okay,
disagree.
okay, why?
This is one of the reasons why men like me or white men have been flocking to Hispanic and Asian women that live in the United States.
Okay, but did you disagree? No, no, I was saying that
Partially
when
disagree because
uh,
when I flirt and I
yeah,
meet a Hispanic woman or an Asian woman living in the United States, their attitudes typically on average are not the same as particularly white women.
okay, but what I was saying, I was responding to you saying that when Iranian women come to the US or other women that they change, that they become more
Quite
Americanized.
a bit, yeah. Materialistic,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think that you were thinking about something
Yeah.
different. Um,
Well, I mean, the fact that the interracial relationships, hookups, and marriages with Iranian men prove it.
mhm.
But you have to keep in mind that we're generally taller, like white men, than other types of men, and we're pretty affluent. I'm sure you know that. So that does have a huge impact.
No. Is there something that you wanted to, so tell me
But see,
about your,
that's what's pissing off a lot of American women. It's not just the passport bros, it's shocking them. It's the fact that a lot of there's a lot of interracial relationships going on and they're losing out. Because when you think about it, we're not seeing the same amount of Asian men flocking to white women. I'm sure you know that.
huh. Um, well, America is, you can choose who you want to date. It's,
Yeah.
there's no like, there's no rule saying that a white man can't date a black woman. There's no rule that says that an Asian man can't date a white woman either. You can,
Yeah. Yeah.
if we're talking about the US, but I don't know about other countries. I mean, but um, is there, tell me about your world travel experience.
Well, let me give you kind of a background of what how I got to this system because I was looking up the pros and cons of living in America in 2015. And this was way before this whole manosphere content or all this passport bro mania took effect. And I found out Winston's website, Happier Abroad. And one of the things that Winston Wu was talking about was he was talking about the pros and cons of living in America. So one of the pros was the standard of living is way above the world average. But he talked about the cons about how dating in America is really a nightmare. I can't say overall, but compared to much of the world, which is true. And so I found out about his website, and one of the issues with that is a lot of the things he talked about really resonated with me. And I was like 22, 23 at that time. When I was 22, I've rarely been on a date in my whole life. And let me tell you something about how me and Winston we also resonated. That it's funny because people want to blame the problems on phone apps, but these problems that we were experiencing, they were not necessarily they were existing before the smartphone really dominated the culture. You know, in fact, smartphones were really new in terms of their dominance then, even though, a lot of the problems we were experiencing were still existing in America, you know? So I read his comment about, dating abroad. Now, of course, I didn't go overseas because I was too young, I was too inexperienced. I thought maybe if I just get older, my dating life's going to improve. Maybe there's just something wrong with Winston. And yeah, I think that Winston does exaggerate the problems of America to an extent. But basically, he's right. America is not a great place to date, not even a decent place. Basically, some of the problems he talks about is still relatively true. And as time moved on, I really start to think, okay, there's more and more people going overseas, and I should just try it out. And I did. And most of things that he talked about overseas lifestyle was really true.
How was your experience in the Philippines? Do you want to go back there?
I don't know. I don't know. For one, that we have so many countries around the world. I think that many countries have many of the same benefits, but don't have the downsides. Philippines had a lot of downsides. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's pretty saddening as an American going there, realizing that there's a lot of great things that I missed in my life.
What,
That
where did,
obviously, hmm?
keep going. What things did you miss out on? I mean, I missed out on
Like I
dating
told
too.
you, like I told
I
you, malls are thriving.
sure.
How are malls doing so much worse in America? You tell me. I mean, they have online shopping in the Philippines. I'm sure they have that. How could that be the case?
Mm.
How is it that coworkers get along? How is it that random strangers approach you and want to be your friend? How is it that when you approach a woman, the reactions are typically better than America?
America is a low trust society.
Yeah, no, not
Uh,
extremely low, but it's a moderate low trust society. Yes.
well, let me ask you this, Cyrus. Do you talk to your neighbors? Do they talk to you?
Well, the reality is, most of the social interactions that I deal with people that I don't know, 90% of them, I'm the one that starts the conversation. But in the
Mhm.
Philippines, it was lower than that.
Okay. Where did you go in the Philippines? Manila or other
Manila,
places?
yes, obviously, because that's where the international airport takes you to. And then Cebu, as well as Princesa. And Cebu was better than Manila, too, by the way, because Manila has been kind of infiltrated by the Western influence.
Mm. Okay.
But see, it wasn't just the people, it was the way the cities were built. We have to talk about that in American cities generally are not pedestrian friendly. Obviously, one of the reasons why European cities are different in dating is because the cities are denser. The cities are more human friendly, they're more walkable. And obviously, when you go out, the cities are denser. You have more women to see, you have more men to see. They're more pedestrian friendly. Services, shopping is closer to where you're at. Not to mention, the people are younger. Americans have just aged out compared to parts of Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa. The median age is now close to 40. It wasn't like this in America. But this is the unintended consequences of the system that we have now. And how do you expect dating is going to get better when we're going to have lesser share of the population that's going to be in their 20s? If I'm looking for a 20-something-year-old woman, the share of the pie is going to decrease in the next few decades.
The things that you're talking about right now, you hear the same things being talked about, echoed by people in Canada, the
Yeah.
UK, Australia, and these are
These are the
Western,
worst.
you
Yeah,
know,
English speaking countries. Yeah. And it's funny how the people who hate passport bros, they're like, "Oh, you're going to the Philippines to exploit these women." But no, in reality, men like Winston Wu has talked about, they go to Italy, they go to Austria, they go to Japan, and they still have better dating experience. Well, excuse me. I want a woman who has a better tone. I want a woman who's fit. And I can get those things in other countries, but not so much here.
mhm. Um, so can I change the subject because you're Iranian? I
Yeah,
have to ask you about the what you think about
I don't know. I
the
can't say. It's too early to say. I'm just it's very uncertain. It's hard to take any sides. All I can say is that I'm glad the regime is gone, and I'm glad that my relatives overseas are safe. That's all I have to say.
okay. All right, well, we
And
can move on.
family knows better. Family knows better than media outlets. Family knows better than our president. That's who I trust more than, frankly, family. My great grandmother, who visited America in the early 1960s, it was a phenomenal country. And it should not be taboo to say that.
Okay. Okay. Can you say anything about Iran that viewers who are listening probably don't know? You know. About the culture?
Well, obviously, it was horrible that the regime was going after these protesters. And
Mhm.
we've had the death tolls in the hundreds and possibly thousands. It's absolutely ridiculous. This regime is responsible for a horrible economy relative to other developed countries in the Middle East. So, but the people are amazing. Their culture, their food, just so much is phenomenal.
I do not know anything about that part of the world, about just the way of life, the culture, or the religion. Can
I
I
don't know
ask?
much about it either. I've never been there. I can't say. I have not been there. I
Did
mean,
your
if you want,
pet?
I can call my mom now and we can just,
No, you don't have to do that. Did your parents instill values in you at a young age, like Iranian values?
yeah, to an
Okay.
extent, yeah.
What were they?
Well, they do believe living in the US is better. What value? What were they what?
I mean, cultural values. I mean, I don't know, I guess it's probably similar to, working hard.
Well, they don't really accept the more secular, modern cultures that's being adopted in America. Yeah, I think you can
Okay,
say that.
are they religious or what's
Not too religious, no. They just believe in God. That's it.
okay, all right. Every immigrant I've ever talked to, or first generation immigrant in America, is super hardworking. Or like they come from super hardworking parents also. I
Yeah,
know,
yeah. That's good. Yeah.
yeah, and they usually outperform, the native, people in America. But um what are you like what are some would you mind sharing what are some things you're working on in your business life in Las Vegas?
In what way?
Oh, okay, well, I mean, it just um okay. Um I will have to go back to the US soon, and I'm dreading it because it's not a culture I want to be in. I'll have to find a place to live, and I just don't want to do that because the rent, just finding a place to stay to live is, so high cost right now, as people are and the
Where is high cost? Where are you talking about?
well, cities and metro areas,
Well, here
and
you have apartments that start at 650 a month, but they're not usually in the nicer areas. The median rent out here for one bedroom is 1100.
hmm, okay. But I was talking to another guy because I lived there in 2014, and all I had to do was call the apartment like I think transfer money at deposit, and then they said you can move in when you come here. Now you've got to fill out you've got to fill out a huge application, background check, credit check, three times the income amount, five references before you
Two and
can
a
even
half.
two and a half references. Okay, but still they're making it much harder to actually move into an
Yeah, well,
apartment.
look at the American people. They trash the apartments. They don't pay their rent. Part of I think is just the declining culture. It's just the lack of care and morals. That's what we have.
Yes, you don't ha yeah, well, we can talk about that too. I don't have a good outlook on the future of the US. I don't. And that's why I don't want to live there. But
At least in the medium term, yeah, I can see. And that's despite the fact that, even though you can say that the president has, accomplished some of the things he's going to do and he's not part of the system, but of course, a lot of people are disappointed in him, especially in regards to the economy. But I don't know, man. I think even if I'm president, there's not much I can do. The problem is too many people don't want to hear the truth.
oh, that's another thing. I saw your YouTube channel, so you've done a lot of public speaking. So do you plan on doing any kind of like running for office or something?
Well, yeah, I have thought about doing that regarding this gender issue. And this is one of the issues that both parties are failing to even address. I think that men are going to have to stand up and do a strike. They're going to have to do some trucker convoy, like they take over the cities and demand an end to this anti-male agenda. They're probably going to, I mean, men like me are going to have to threaten to break up the United States. If these women don't really appreciate us, who complain at us in every aspect of our society, men are going to have to threaten with separation. Separate states, separate countries, separate workplaces, separate gyms, schools. That's what's going to have to happen. If you don't want us, and if you don't want to give us much in return, we don't have to be with you. Simple as that. We're paying nearly 80% of the taxes in this country. We're doing most of the critical infrastructure work.
Wow, that's is there any movement like that right now? I've never heard of anything like
No,
that.
that's the problem. That's the problem with all these MGTOW, red pill, manosphere. All they're saying is just, well, we should just ignore women, don't date, or just, work on yourself. Like, no, we have to fight back. We have to push harder.
Yeah, it's all it's just complaints. People are just complaining. They're not doing anything. Um,
Yeah, because they don't know any solution, or they're just lazy staying at home doing watching nasty content, or basically, uh, playing video games and think that's going to solve the problem. No, people have to step out. They have to call it out.
yeah, you're raising a very good point, and I'm just kind of trying to visualize who would step up because I don't think a lot of men are going to step up unless they really get like have some kind of
Well, they think
leadership.
it's just going to solve itself, and no, even if it does, it's going to take generations to do that.
Yeah, you
I mean, you
talk.
can expose the truth all you want, but there's no plan. There's no, I mean, listen, this can be done. Like, people will say, okay, we have to change the family court laws, or they'll have to say, change the false accusation laws, or all the DEI stuff. And I get it, it's true. However, the problem isn't so much the laws, it's the way women view men generally. And I'm not saying majority of women are like this. I'm saying there's a 20-30% that's absolutely bitter, miserable, disgusting. You should see some of the comments I get. I said, okay, if you don't like men, just split the country and get the hell out of our lives. And they just laugh at you. They insult you. They attack you personally because they know that they're what they're pointing out is absolutely wrong, but they have no legitimate argument. It's all just to complain, basically pull our strings, push us around, and get away with it. Like, you have these red pill content that say get rid of the 19th Amendment. Well, that's not going to mean much if these women are miserable, bitter, and just absolutely horrible. It's not going to mean much.
God, you're really like hitting something. I've never heard this perspective in
Yeah.
any interview at
Yeah, and
all. So
that's the thing with Winston.
you're
He's right. Yes, you have to try out saner cultures, but when we're still here, we gotta fight.
I know, but how do you do that, Cyrus?
Look, all it takes is one person. We have new technologies. Spread the idea all across. Get a handful of people to take to the streets. Also, build a counterculture. You're going to have to network with people in your community, talk to everybody, have a group of 20-something-year-old women who appreciates men, who's willing to get married and start a family, who's willing to have a better system in meeting men. That's the other thing. Women are going to have to start going out to better places to meet men rather than just doing it on the apps and nightlife venues.
Mm.
We need
So
to build a better outside world climate. The cost of living is
did
high. Okay, find loopholes. Build your own homes. Buy cheap land. Live
yeah,
within your means. You don't have to have two cars. Move to a
yeah.
multi-generational household if you live in the Bay Area or something, where it's expensive. Get things done. Start networking, talking to local 20 somethings in your community. Get a survey, figure out what the problem is. Maybe we don't know what's really the problem.
You raised one point where you said that we may have to separate. We may have to like turn part of the
Threaten with
country.
separation. Yes, I could run for public office. Say, you know what? I can run for Senate, break up the United States. We don't want to live with these people.
Huh. That's a, I think that may
No.
be
And
something
here's
that,
the thing. They'll say, well, we live our lives. Well, what difference does it make? Oh, let me tell you something. When I have kids and I raise children in this country, you think I want to live in a neighborhood block where they're just a bunch of single, miserable women, many living in one house, and they're not going to have kids in their homes that my children can play with? You think I want that? You think, and this is why kids don't play outside like they used to, because we don't have good family structure like we used to. Women used to stay at home. What if these single women cannot even support themselves? What if there aren't these office cubicle jobs that they want? Oh, wait a second. Cyrus, you just sold your stocks, your investments, and all these women, they want to go after the rich, and these rich men that they rejected back in the day. Well, guess what? These women need to survive. They can't find jobs. You're going to have to pay a higher tax rate. You think I want that? No. How
hmm,
are these women going to survive? What if there's not going to be enough jobs for these women? Do you understand the job market? It's like musical chairs.
sure, but so yeah, I think the only way you can't change the existing culture that you're in, but you can separate and try to start like at a like
You have
build
to
some kind of,
respond accordingly. Yes, yes.
you can't
Just
just
like truck
change it all at
drivers. If truck
once.
drivers who are not appreciated stop delivering goods, it will create a massive economic shock.
Hmm.
That's what we need. Right now, the war is happening in the digital level. It's not happening in the streets. It needs to happen in the streets for things to really change.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Cyrus, would you start some kind of like movement or something like this to like, you
Yeah,
know,
why not? What are they going to do to us?
mm,
And by the way, who's going to fight us? Women?
huh,
Who is more likely to fight us are these, and this is where the problem is coming from, the powerful elite corporate interests. We know this is all because of them. They're the ones that infiltrated the media. Six companies control so much of the media. They push these celebrities. They badly influence the women. I mean, how do you think things have gone downhill since the 1990s?
mm,
Women were going to college at the same rates. Women were in the workforce at the same rates. Yet people were dating and getting married at higher rates than they are now. What changed? We have bad influences. Children were more likely to play outside. So what changed? It's these powerful elite interests that infiltrated the academia, that have infiltrated the mass media. They're pushing these narratives in their corporate agendas, non-governmental organizations. So it's powerful elite men that are pushing this.
quick
They're the
question.
ones with the wealth and the power and the lobbyists and everything.
What,
These are the people that we have to battle. It's very few men versus most men. That's a fact.
who do you think actually was responsible for Charlie Kirk and what happened?
Well, Charlie Kirk talked about this a lot, and I'm glad. I don't know. I can't say. I don't know exactly what happened.
Mm,
I don't even how do we know if that shooter who did it was actually the real shooter? How do we know if Charlie Kirk is even alive
that's
or
what I'm
dead?
saying is that he was taught he had as much
Instrumental, yeah.
he had as much passion as you have, and then he was creating a huge movement and getting a lot of conservative
Right. But
men,
here
you
was the
know.
problem with Charlie Kirk. He's pushing religious narratives. That's the problem. We don't do that, at least me and Winston. We say it like how it is. Men or women are different, and if you don't follow this natural order, reality comes and bites you in the butt. That's how it is.
let me ask you something, Cyrus. So is this your primary like uh focus right now on the US is just changing, changing how women and men
Well, there's really three problems I think America really has that covers most of the issues we have now. One, I think, is urban planning, which I've talked about earlier. Most, hardly anybody can get around without a car. The places we build are relatively soulless, lack character and charm. I mean, sure, they may have better elements than what you see in the Philippines, but still, the quality of architecture and urban planning has gone down the drain since the 1920s. And my organization is looking to reverse that. We want to do code reform. I'm actually doing my first building project, by the way. And so we have chapters around the world. Strong Towns, Las Vegas. Second is the male and female dynamics and relations, dating, family, everything else. And third is this disgusting cartel, the Federal Reserve, Wall Street, private equity, all this other garbage that's infiltrated everything in society, including the last two problems I've talked about.
yeah. Um wow. So talk more about Strong Towns Las Vegas. What are you doing there?
Well, I think urban planning has a significant role in dating and relationships and making friends because what we have now is it's very isolated lifestyle that we live in. So I'm sure you've been to America and most American cities can relate. So at a time, American cities were built in human scale. Shopping and housing were closer together. They looked like each other. Places were more walkable, had more character and charm. And then all of a sudden, later in the 20th century, the new codes and policies came in. People thought it was about safety. It was about a lot of different things. You could say it was corporate interests, but the city's changed. And look what we have now. We have cul-de-sacs. We have gated neighborhoods that are rampant. We have strip malls. We have roads and streets that people cannot walk around that isolate neighborhoods. We just have this system that's so car dependent. It doesn't work when gas prices are high. It has impacts on the environment, social life, sense of community, beauty, health, public and private costs. The list goes on. It's a horrible system. It's perhaps the largest issue living in the United States, and we're looking to change it. We're looking to change existing or build new areas that are different.
I walk out. I'm here in Vietnam. I walk out my apartment. I'm instantly next to cafes, street restaurants. I sit not down and have some lunch, and I'm with like eight other guys around me. And then
Yeah, same
I,
here. Same here, but that's a tiny minority.
oh yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
there's still places like that in Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, they're new and upcoming, but in the grand scheme, not much has changed, unfortunately. The codes are
No.
still in play. There's a lot of dirty politics. There's special interest groups. I mean, look, who's happy with this system? Oil companies, Walmart,
Mm,
McDonald's,
yeah.
people who
Li
pave asphalt. This is
life,
really the issue with this country. Banks. Yeah.
life is not all
Creates
about
debt.
money.
Yeah.
Life is
So
about
this
human
wasn't market
connection.
demand, really. This was really a matter of bad policy and special
Bad
interests. Simple as
policy.
that. But this affects dating because it makes humans very isolated. In fact, the apps and the nightlife are not really the problem. It's because the other world, the other routes are not as good. Think about it. If you had a beautiful plaza outside your doorstep and there were plenty of good looking women, approachable, do you think you'd need to use the apps? No.
Sure. Yeah.
But one of the things that, just going back to what we were talking about, is women like to claim because we're so independent, but the statistics are not proving it.
Well, I mean, they live on their own. They have their own jobs, you know.
Not according to the data. I can show you the statistics. Well, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, women between the ages of 25 to 35 make $40,000, and I can show you that. $40,000 Where can you live comfortably with that? Probably West Virginia. Not a lot of places in America you could do that. And then, of course, that figure doesn't include the savings rate, how many percent are living paycheck to paycheck, which is most of them. Also, their debt levels, particularly student loans, is typically very high. They have most of the student loan debt in this country. They're in jobs that very have high turnover, especially in the office world. Now, some of them are doing pretty well in the medical field, don't get me wrong, but there's still a shortage of jobs because you keep flooding the market with college grads. It's going to be like musical chairs. Many stats show that increasingly women are not living alone. In fact, the share of women living with their parents has increased a lot in the last 20 years. And so, this idea that they're so strong and independent in their prime fertile years, well, here's the thing. Then, if this was so much the case, well, then they should have enough money to raise children because if you make, let's say, 50,000, 60,000 a year, the guy makes about 60, $70,000 a year. Combined income, you have $110,000. Well, you should have enough money to raise a kid or two. But yet they keep saying, well, no, everything is so expensive, we can't have kids. So which is it? And then at the same time, we're told that millennials and Zoomers are having a lousy job market compared to previous generations. So, in any case, a Gen X woman in her 20s had it better to be independent than a Gen Z woman. So, all these talking points they keep pointing out really conflict with one another.
Hmm.
Even in my own apartment building, I barely see a woman under the age of 30 who's living alone comfortably. I barely see it. Or a man, as a matter of fact. I was able to move into my own apartment when I was 24 years old here in Las Vegas. 24 years old with no roommates, no relatives. In fact, I was even still paying my mom's cell phone bill.
Okay, and how old are you now?
I'm 33. So I moved
Okay.
there in 2017. And guess what? If you really want to be strong and independent, you better off, I don't know, owning a gas station, hotel, storage unit, a recession-proof business. You don't have to work full time. Or, which I told you earlier, is you get in the stock market. You put little savings time over time. You can live within your means. You don't have to go to all these flashy concerts or do all these travel experiences, what typically women do, and consume a bunch of things that you don't even need. You grow that investment account because we know usually the stock market is higher, the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, every 10 years. So eventually, when you grow your account, you have something to fall back on. But being dependent on a corporate job is making you independent? Not really. In fact, you can do those alternatives and have more time to raise children and meet men. So you know that this whole agenda is so much of a con and it's such a deceitful and such a artificial manipulated agenda.
Well, okay. But what is how do you see this this being fixed? You know, how long will it take?
Well, it depends on the men. If they're willing to stand up, we could fix this in about 5 years. If they're willing to do the things that I suggested, it can work. This bubble will pop.
Hmm.
In fact, we're seeing signs that this is popping, and even a lot of young women are starting to wake up, but we're not seeing a drastic effect yet. If you're just going to ignore it, it's going to take at least 30, 40 years because eventually this can't go on any further.
And what do
There's
men need
just
to
going to
do?
be an avalanche of single women that are miserable, they can't support themselves. It's going to scare the hell out of everybody.
What
We
do
just
men
don't
need to do
have
right
enough
now?
government programs to support themselves. Frankly, I think we're seeing some polls that show that 40% of young women want to leave the United States. And I don't think this is just political or cost of living. I think a lot of them are having student loan debt. And frankly, I don't even think they're going to move to these developed European countries. I think a lot of them, they get burnout from the workplace and they can't find a man to back them up. A lot of them are going to take the equity of their parents' home, sell it, and they're going to go to countries like the Philippines. So it's not just men that are going to go. I think women are going to go there too.
Okay. And are women going to go there and and date and marry foreign men there?
Oh, if they do, it's going to be so embarrassing. They're just going to have to live alone in a small house, use up the rest of their equity. So think of it this way. Your parents have a multi-million-dollar home in the Bay Area. You sell it once the parents die off. You take the equity. Some of it goes to the brother or whoever. You take
Yeah.
about, let's say, four or $500,000. You then buy a small place in another country for $100,000 or 200,000, and then you take the rest of that 200,000, and then you don't have to rely on Social Security, pension, 401k, or whatever it may be. How are they going to survive? Tax us more? Come on. Print more money?
Okay,
We
so
saw what happened during COVID.
I've got to go back and ask you if you had if you had a movement for what you're doing, what would men do right now today? So
They can go on strike. Like I said, the trucker convoy, they can start taking to the streets.
meaning they're
I mean,
not
a
going to
lot of jobs that
they're
men
not
do are
they're
very
just
critical.
they're
The only
going
jobs that women do dominate that's very critical are basically, I don't know, like nursing. That's pretty much about it.
nursing. Yeah.
I mean, and then they still expect men to defend the country, to keep our neighborhoods safe, to fix the cars, to mine the products, to drill the oil. I mean, look, nearly all of the transportation workers here in Las Vegas are male, especially at this time of the night. If they go on strike, the Vegas economy blows up. Nearly all of the valet attendants are men. Look at the gaming supervisors. The men who built these casinos. I saw that one of the CEOs yesterday, although he's part of the problem, the Wins, the Adelsons, the all these people, they're all men. There's not been one woman, as far as I know, who's bought land and built herself a casino. We could do a strike right now.
Well, I mean there are women who are doctors, there are women who are, dentists. Um,
I know, I
so
understand that, but what's the share of that? And also, if all men quit their jobs versus all women, the shocks would be way different.
I know. Okay. Um, well, this is hugely, passionate. We're seeing a lot of figures coming up. I'm not going to name too many names. Did I name Charlie Kirk? I Tucker
Yeah, and I don't want
Carlson.
to be associated with these people because I think that there's
Okay.
solutions, their problems. Even like when you go out to Myron Gaines, and if you look at what's the name, Romo Tomasi. By the way, he's doing a live podcast like 1,000 feet from my house right now. You look at the Tates of the world. I don't trust them. I don't think they have the solutions. No, we need to stand up. The relations in this country is terrible, and the enemy is not the typical woman. The enemy are the elite men who are pushing this garbage.
I I think the biggest point you raised is that you can't change the culture on a mass level. You have to start like small. You have to kind of divide into a community that's self-sustaining and start from there or something.
Well, I kind of disagree. Yes, you do have to start smaller cultures, but remember, American culture saw a massive shift from 1963 into 1970. So, and this is part of one of the trends we talk about really accelerated in that period of time. Our perceptions of gender and race changed drastically. So it can happen. And in fact, the implosion of these cultures that we're trying to get rid of actually happens faster than the buildup. You know what I mean?
Implosion of the culture. Sure. How, implosion, sure, but it seemed like it seemed like Charlie Kirk had something going, and these organizations that have a leader, they build a big following, they create a big effect of,
Well, what we need to do is we need to do a strike and we need to threaten with separation. That's really the only way. We're not asking women to change. We're just asking women, we just want to respond accordingly. If some group of people says that I don't like Persian Americans, I can't stand them or whatever, what's the solution? Just to fight us? No, the solution is separation. There's still so many parts of America that don't have Persian Americans. You can just move there. Simple as that.
Hmm. If if every
So we
man in
just
Las
threaten with separation. That's it.
if every single man in Las Vegas went on strike tomorrow and stopped working,
Yeah.
and what do you? I
Oh, it
mean,
doesn't even have to be every single man. Just
hmm,
10% of truck drivers, if they go on strike in America. That's enough to shock the damn thing.
okay, and then what will they say, as their message? What's their message to everyone else?
Simple. Women don't like us. We want to separate. And you need us. We want to separate. Change your ways or separate. That's it. Don't talk about, abortion. Don't talk about none of that shit. Just talk about, just you don't like us. Simple as that.
Hmm. I think
And we just say the media and the establishment is anti-male. That's it.
so.
We storm the corporate headquarters, the media giants.
You do
We
it
storm Google
once.
headquarters.
You do it once in Las Vegas, and then now other people do it in different cities in the U.S.
Yeah, as simple as that. Remember the Occupy movement? Do you remember the Tea Party movement?
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, and I can't say the 2020 because first of all, I don't believe in riots, and second of all, it was obvious that these movements were well funded. But our movement is not. It's grassroots.
Hmm. Yeah. That's what the elites want, is that they want people to be numb. They want people to conform and be compliant and say yes sir, and not question what's going on and say we need to change this. No.
Yeah.
When
No,
when
that's
I
all part of the plan. You're absolutely right.
Most people don't know how to think independently or think critically or think
Very
outside the
few do.
box.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what you're saying in this whole interview is very I don't know, insightful, but
Well, and they
you're
want to shame us everywhere we turn. You don't approach, they complain. You approach, they complain. You go left, you go right, you go forward, up, down. You go overseas. They always complain. It's the way it is. I mean, this is what Sex in the City, the Kardashians, The View, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, this is what all these clowns ended up doing to this country. Overseas is different. It's simple because overseas they didn't get infiltrated by these clowns a lot. It's simple as that. Duh.
Here in Vietnam, the percentage of people who live alone is less than 10%. It's like everyone here lives in a household that's a part of their family or with a marriage or like the people in the US, there's, how many people live alone? A lot more, like over, I don't know, 40% or something. Um, but yeah, the problem with making change like what you're talking about is because the US is such a massive country, so many, 340 million people, that it's fragmented in many different, it's like a continent of,
Well, and that's a good thing because these problems are not so rampant in all over the country. I mean, you still have women getting married young and starting families in their 20s, particularly if you look at the parts of the South, parts of like Utah with the more communities, you have the Amish, which I'm gonna go see next week, by the way. So this whole notion that somehow, this whole idea that it's rampant across the United States, it's just not true. But I think what troubles me about Las Vegas, though, one of the things is that the women here, they're less likely to have a college degree than anywhere else in the country, all the major metros, but yet they're not getting married early. So this whole notion that they're embracing careers and independence doesn't really tell you the whole story. In fact, we have plenty of women who are doctors or who are master's degree and get married in their 20s. So what the hell's going on?
You've got young.
Well, I don't know. We don't have a social, we don't have a foundation that holds everyone together. Okay, so that's the number one thing.
No, that's why you need one language. English should be the official language because that's what unites the country. Simple as that. You have to have the same values.
Yes,
Everything.
yes, yes.
I mean, there is no such thing as one American type of food or one type of American style of architecture. We tend to have a lot of differences, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there has to be unifying factors too.
The good thing about the US is the legal is that there's strong laws in place. You can you can that give you rights, that give everyone rights. So that's the basic thing that everyone agrees on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and despite Winston's negativity, I think the COVID lockdowns prove that they weren't, in many states across the US were not as draconian as other countries. This tells you that Americans do have their constitutional rights and they have it better. However, we've seen many examples where, including myself, where my constitutional rights were violated. Maybe it was more respected here than California. However, we've been having a lot of jerks and zombies that don't respect that. And this is the problem is that a lot of these people who don't believe in the way we see gender, uh, I'm sure a lot of them want us to face penalties for saying the things that we believe.
Oh yeah, the UK, you can say something, you can write something on a social media comment and you'll get arrested if it's
Yeah,
again,
I
yeah.
know. This is why we're seeing the protests. I know. Because they
BS.
know when people speak out, it's going to work. It's going to counter it. There's no question about it. But it's not going to happen. And if
What
everybody does it, it's not going to work.
what do you yeah, I hope America never becomes the UK. They are just they're
I doubt
gone.
it. I doubt it. I mean, look, they've even tried to put all these gun safety policies. And again, I mean, the gun safety thing, that's a different topic. I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but they try to do that and they say, oh, it's against the Second Amendment, and a lot of them don't go through. That's just the bottom line.
Let me ask you this. Do you know about the LA mayor race?
Well, I can relate to it. I was born in LA and I lived there until I was 4 years old. It's
The
horrible to see what's happened to the city.
Well, Karen Bass is the incumbent, right? And then
Yeah.
you have Spencer Pratt, who has a I think he would be great to just kind of go in there and just change things, which is what they need. Um, I don't think he's the most qualified, but you need someone. And I really hope he wins. I don't think he'll win because Karen Bass has the unions behind her, and
That's what yeah.
and LA is a very diverse cities, and Spencer Pratt is white. So, that's the one thing. But you were born in LA. Wow, okay.
Yeah, and
So
like I said, that's where my
what
mom moved to with my father to this
everyone says
country. A
that
lot of
LA
Iranians live there.
everyone says that LA used to be a great place, but now it's it's terrible. Or there's
It's not what it used to be. And what pisses me off is that the Persian community just doesn't really do much to fight it. It's
hmm,
absolutely sad.
there's I went there. I know there's a lot of people leaving California, and going to other
I was one
states.
of them. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They're going to Utah, Texas, so many places. Um, yeah, California is an example of, or at least, you know, of what happens when, you've got, the Democrat Party, the left, and they make these policies that are, you know, intended to just kind of allow people to do things that, and get away with things, that
Well, and part of it is the ideology that obviously, that these politicians rely on. They run on the ideology that women still have it dirty. The women still have it negative. The women still have it that they're being let down. It's all it is,
hmm,
pretty much. So basically, and I'm just reading this right here. Mayor Karen Bass received the endorsement of IASTE, the union. I think has to do with probably the film writers and stuff like that. It's like I said, it's all just a matter of, you know, it's like the same problem we have here, much of the world. It's just special interest groups.
hmm, yeah. Um, yeah, that's the one thing I love about Vietnam, and I'll tell you, you should definitely visit here. No one here talks about politics. No one. You sit down and they just talk about what they're going to do today, the weather. They talk about having a good time. They try to get to know you. It's so easy for me to talk to people here because this is a country that prioritizes social order. They don't prioritize money here or profit or special interests. It is social order is the top priority here.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why Vietnam is such a popular country is because everyone comes here, they realize this is so peaceful here. Everyone gets along well. Everyone is so friendly. We don't know what it's like to work here. I mean, I don't as a local or be one of them, but I've been here many years.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of I don't see angry people.
Yeah.
I don't see disorder. I don't see chaos. I don't and
Yeah.
you
I,
never
I, I didn't get stressed out when I was in the Philippines. The only thing I got stressed out was um, my luggage was confiscated because I brought some huge battery that I bought to charge my phone, and then they confiscated it, and then they took it out of the bag. So, and I didn't get my bag the next day, unfortunately. So, and don't get me wrong. I mean, are there problems in Vietnam relative to, let's say, the United States? Absolutely. But you can even tell the way Vietnamese people are here in the United States. Like they're actually more easy to get along than other Asian groups, especially up north. I've dated quite a few Vietnamese women too.
okay,
I mean, the
sure.
fact that I did it shows they're going to really like men of Iranian descent.
Well, I can tell you, Cyrus, you should definitely put Vietnam on your list because
Oh, I will. Yeah.
if you thought that you felt safe in the Philippines, it's a different level here. You never fear for your safety here in Vietnam ever at night ever. And the
Yeah, it's
women
a lot like Florida in terms of its vibe and climate.
a little bit, yeah, a long coastline, and the women, I've been to 13 countries, and this is my opinion, the women are the best here. You'll never it's hard to find more feminine women than Vietnamese women here. But
Yeah.
it's a great place. Like you're saying, there are problems. Like it's hard to kind of like
And
it's
why do you think in America Vietnamese women have high rates of interracial marriage?
I don't know why that is. I don't
They're
know.
mixing with a lot of the white and other types of men in the United States.
I just don't know because I know that in California and New York, Asians tend to date other Asians, or but they also date white men. They
No, you're
also date
talking
other.
about Koreans. Koreans do that a lot,
Okay.
but it's better with the other ethnic groups.
Well, anyway,
But I agree with you. I don't think they just want Western white women. It's all sorts of men. There's no question about it. And I think it's kind of interesting that people keep saying that, you know, all these problems are just simply due to technology and it's just like it's just human evolution, but a lot of these problems don't exist. And it's not like women are second class citizens in the Philippines or even in Vietnam. I read some statistics, found out that the gender equity index in Philippines is actually better than it is in the United States.
huh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this whole notion that women have to be oppressed and second class citizens to basically be, I don't know, just, be more feminine and friendly and wife material. It's just a load of baloney.
Maybe they maybe there could be like an anti-feminism like informational campaign that says you were lied to, women. Like they lied to you and they indoctrinated you with propaganda to think that you were oppressed. You were never oppressed, you know.
Well, you have to show results. That's it.
How were they oppressed in the 1950s? They weren't oppressed.
Well, they couldn't acquire huge sums of debt. That's what I was told. But there's
They
evidence that
couldn't.
I've heard that they actually did have their own property or whatever. But since when acquiring debt is making you independent? I mean, now they have so much student loan debt. So it shows they pushed all these movements just to, get them into debt. And now they become debt slaves. They have to work for the rest of their lives. It is what it is.
Anyway,
I mean,
it's
they're now
just
saying that Gen Z women are buying more homes than Gen Z men. And I'm like, okay, but how are they buying these homes? What's their down payment? Are they getting family assistance? Are they getting special loans? They're not telling them that. Maybe men could afford these homes, but they choose not to buy because
why
they
do
don't
you
need all this space.
why do you think that women graduate at higher rates at college than men do?
Well, you have the culture that encourages them to go, but that's because there's a lot of trades out there that men pursue. But also, men like me know that we can just invest our way in the stock market, raise sums of capital, and then start doing the things that we like. Women just don't tend to think like that. Like I said, almost all of the assets, the investments, the wealth, it's still held by men. That's how you know that when you're truly independent. Wealth.
So, yes, that's what capitalism is in the US. You can't, like you're saying, you can make money in the stock market or, invest in a ETF, over time.
It takes time. I agree. It's not fast.
Mm.
If you want something fast, go across the street or even in my property, play some games or do the lottery. Good luck.
And another thing about, well, you're saying it's not the devices, it's not the apps. I mean, people are becoming more impatient than they were years ago. It's just because
Yeah.
that's and it's almost that's happening around the world just because of it seems like time is speeding up. The years just go faster. And
I don't see that.
I don't know. I feel the days are long, but the decades go by fast. I remember being 30 years old like it was yesterday. No.
I don't know. For me, it's the same speed as it was 10 years ago.
Um, I don't know. There are some positives that I do like about Las Vegas. When I lived there, I would sit down and play poker and I talked to the guys playing there, so it was kind of a social activity.
Well, I think this is all planned. I think this is all carefully manipulated. And I think that we have to expose for what it is, and we just have to respond accordingly. That's pretty much what it is. But see, the problem is, like I said, people need to know where the source of the problem is, and they need to also know the essentially the solution, and they don't know the solution. But as men, we have the power to do it. We have the power to fight back.
Let me ask you something, Cyrus. You're a very good speaker. You're a strong speaker. Are you going on any other platforms like major media talking to them?
Not much. I've just been interviewed by the local news a few times. I went to Jubilee, debated Mehdi Hassan in the Surrounded show. I have a YouTube channel that's been active for 15 years, but that's pretty much about it.
You like go on like bigger media?
Absolutely.
Oh,
We live in a sick, wacky society. Of course.
yeah.
You know, the thing is that they're just going to say, oh, don't worry, you're going to find the right person. Listen, I've had plenty of women recently that told me how good looking and attractive I am. I've dated, I've, you know, had a lot of good experiences and stuff like that, all these great things. But it's like, still, the climate is not good. I can make the case and I can say, well, I'm going to Chicago next week. And the weather is going to be good, but that doesn't mean the climate is good. It's not. It's maybe decent, but it's not great. And so we don't have to live like this. We don't have to live every day where it's like I just walk around and there's a small chance that a woman is going to give me an ick look for just looking around and she happened to be in my way. Why do I have to live like this? What kind of climate is this?
Hello?
What kind of climate is this that women blame all her problems not on herself, on her individual choices, and instead blames capitalism or blames other men?
There's just no respect anymore. Like the genders don't respect each other. No, it's just
Compared to 30 years ago, yes.
um,
Yeah, but they want to blame men. It's like if I go walk around and shove somebody, am I going to get respect? No. But like I said, when you look at the political system about who supports Karen Bass, they're trying to pump all these women, especially non-white women. Who do you think gives them all the money? Powerful white men. So there you know where the source of the problem is.
is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, first of all, I'd like to appreciate all the effort you've done to bring me on this platform or whatever. I'm really glad. We've done a lot of good things. There's no question about it. I think that, we have to spread the word, we have to spread the truth, everything. Basically, what I think is that stop assuming that things are just going to wrap up. We're going to have to take notice. One of the things I could do is in the next state legislative session, I have to talk about these issues, get the word out. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to get nasty personal comments. But the more of us that kind of step out and call what it is, and again, we're just asking for respect. We're asking about, listen, women, stop relying on apps to meet men. Stop, talking to us like you're sounding an alarm. Stop, sleeping around with a bunch of deadbeats, that guys that give you drama and chaos. And by the way, It's funny how Winston will say, well, women want bad boys, but women only go for top 10% of men. Like those two talking points, they conflict each other. But we know for a fact that women are not dating the men typically they're going to lead them to a committed relationship. It is what it is. You know, we're tired of being ghosted and flaked. We don't like this game. Think about it. But I think, yes, there is a cultural aspect, but there's also a legal aspect of it too. Think about it. Women demand that we want abortion and birth control, but yet brothels are not legalized across America. Yet men cannot refuse to pay child support if they don't want the kid to be born. And so all this is full of double standard. It's all full of cherry picking. And we have to explain for what it is. Now, do I think women are all of the problems that we have now, you know, the way they've changed? No. I think there's a lot of issues with American men too. But again, which one has changed the most noticeably? Women. And was this organic? No. It was done by powerful elites. It was done by special interest groups. And if we're not going to do anything about it, then don't complain and whine about why things are the way they are. Call it out when governments are giving business grants solely to women. Paternity fraud. If this country goes under World War III, demand the women to be drafted, or all the men should leave the United States. Honestly. You know, and things can be done. A lot of states, like in Kentucky and Florida, they've changed their family court laws. Don't think that nothing can't be done. Think about it. And I do think more men got to go overseas and protest and call it out. I really do. I think the more men that step out of the status quo, or more men that just, you know, approach women in America in a different way, I think that's going to really start to shake things up. Look at history, man. Boycotts have worked.
Yeah, well, I hope to hear more from you, Cyrus, and hear about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
look
and I'm
forward
going to
to
do
that.
both, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to do both. I might live overseas part-time and come back to the US and and fight part-time. I'm going to do both.
Sure. That's great. I'm looking forward to hearing you again on some bigger media platforms.
Let me ask you this. Would you be down sometime soon? I come visit you in Vietnam.
I'm going back to the US in 3 months, so I may meet
No,
you
no, no,
there.
within the next few years.
Sure. Yeah.